Since the late 13th century, Jingdezhen, a small town in Jiangxi province, has played a crucial role in the history of Chinese ceramics. During the Yuan dynasty, international trade was emphasized, pushing the demand on ceramics to soar. As a result, the administrative body was established in Jingdezhen to manage the manufacture and trade of ceramics, promoting the development of the industry. Before the blue and white porcelain, Jingdezhen made its name in China through making bluish-white porcelain. Coated in a jade-like and gentle glaze, this type of porcelain experienced a peak in production from the Song dynasty to the Yuan dynasty. Products include daily utensils such as bowls, dishes, handled jars, as well as items like granary jars and lidded jars. This set of bowl and ewer from the 12th century is exquisitely potted and coated with a layer of glaze as thin as a delicate piece of gauze. On the lid sits a little lion, proudly posing with eyes gazing into the distance. The bowl resembles a blooming lotus. The whole set is a perfect combination of artistic and functional values. Besides daily and funerary objects, bluish-white Buddha statues from Jingdezhen are also phenomenal. This one from the Yuan dynasty is composed and vividly delicate. The gentle glaze creates an unworldly aroma. This Jingdezhen bowl with added colors is quite special. This one is impressed with flower and Ashtamangala patterns, as well as being painted with a golden, blue, and brown color. This valuable ware is still in great condition. After the 14th century, Jingdezhen became the national center of the ceramics industry, famed for its sophisticated blue and white porcelains. The blue and white porcelains appeared as early as the Tang dynasty, but didn't flourish until the Yuan dynasty. The pigment to create underglaze blue in the Yuan dynasty was called smalt and imported from the Middle East. Potters would use the smalt to paint patterns like floral scrolls, bamboo, rocks and fruits on the unfired clay body before coating with glaze. This pigment would develop a typical kind of vibrant dark blue in shade with black spots, exemplified by this jar with interlaced peonies. Blue and white porcelains are usually intensively decorated in bright blue, which is a distinctive aesthetic language, different from the simple and elegant style from the Song dynasty. In the Ming dynasty, both the official and folk kilns in Jingdezhen were devoted to producing blue and white porcelains. Different from the dense decorating style, blue and white porcelains from the Ming dynasty feature more blank spaces, stretching leaves, and balanced compositions. This shows that the blue and white style has been incorporated into the Chinese aesthetic system and has absorbed Chinese traditional patterns. Blue and white porcelains from the early Ming dynasty were still influenced by Islamic culture. This moon flask imitates the shape of the metalware in Islamic regions, known in China as the Embracing the Moon flask. Unlike that of the Yuan dynasty, this flask has a thin yet elegant decor. The branches extend out gracefully. Between the leaves, one can see the fine white clay body under a transparent glaze with a tint of blue. It is a blue and white porcelain masterpiece of the Yongli region. And this octagonal candlestick is a fine piece of the Xuande reign. This kind of porcelain from the official kilns in the Ming dynasty was usually diplomatic gifts. Though its shape and the pigment are both from West Asia, the composition of the floral design is drawn in a traditional Chinese embroidery and weaving style. Such a masterpiece perfectly combines the highlights of aesthetic pursuits of the East and West. Since the Chenghua reign, a domestic pigment called Qing replaced the small pigment imported from West Asia. This gentle and lighter tone of blue was favored by the literati for centuries. This bowl with Kuei dragons is characterized by a white and refined clay body as well as a thin and sleek glaze. It is typical of the Chenghua style, which is light, subtle, and delicate. On its outer wall are 4 kuei dragons with heads and tails connecting. Each kuei has 3 claws, holding a lotus in the mouth. This kind of pattern is commonly seen in the Chenghua period. The turquoise glazed dish is extremely rare and valuable. The beautiful turquoise green glaze intensifies the underglaze blue. When you hold the dish in your hand, it feels like you're holding a pond with lotus flowers in full bloom and fishes swimming inside among lotus leaves. On the bottom is the mark, Ming Chenghua Nianji. This type of porcelain is fired twice, and this made it extremely hard to produce. This dish may be the only one of its kind left intact. Speaking of technique, let's take a look at this yellow glazed dish donated by Zanda Lu. It is huge in size and has an imposing underglaze blue dragon on it. The combination is an innovation in manufacturing blue and white porcelains. The rain mark is a significant feature of blue and white porcelains made in the Ming Dynasty. Since the Xuande reign, it had become a custom for the official kilns to mark the porcelains with the reign name. Though this practice was temporarily halted in the 15th century, it was quickly restored and continued afterwards. The emperor's reign name was written in standard script at the bottom of the porcelain. Such a practice provides clues on porcelain production and criteria on categorization. It is the ID system for porcelains with long-lasting impact on related studies. Blue and white porcelains were still widely popular in the Qing dynasty, especially during the Kongxi, Yongzheng periods, when the techniques greatly advanced. For example, on this vase, with the invention of a domestic pigment and improved firing techniques, the underglaze blue appears in subtle shades, like the ink in traditional Chinese paintings. Since then, landscape paintings have found their place on porcelain wares. Underglaze red porcelains developed almost at the same time with blue and white porcelains. Both their patterns are painted under the glaze. Pigment containing copper oxide would be used to paint patterns on the porous clay body. Potters would then coat the unfired wares with a transparent glaze and fire them at a high temperature, as copper is extremely sensitive to the oxidation-reduction atmosphere. It is much harder to successfully fire underglaze red porcelains than underglaze blue ones. Therefore, underglaze red porcelains are very valuable. During the Hongwu reign, the official kilns had mastered the techniques of making underglaze red wares like vases and bowls. This vase, with an underglaze red design, is quite big with a heavy clay body. The underglaze red with a grayish tone presents a gorgeous 3-clawed dragon. This is a rare underglaze red product successfully made by the official kiln in the early Ming Dynasty. During the Xuande reign, the underglaze red porcelains were highly prized for their rich and bright tone of copper red. This stem bowl is an exceptional masterpiece, rarely seen among its kind. The manufacturing of underglaze red porcelain declined until the Kongxi reign, when the techniques were restored and even upgraded. The underglaze red could illustrate smooth and clear lines, just as underglaze blue does, sometimes adding striking elements to a porcelain. As the techniques become mature, potters in the Qing dynasty developed the combination of underglaze blue and red. On this vase from the Yongzheng reign, it's painted with dragons swimming through rolling sea waves. The scene is full of meticulous and vibrant details that are intensified by the contrasting red and blue.